Their reproductive tracts are not yet ready. Mentally, they're also not ready.
Do you think these 13-year-old girls are sinning?
Yes, they are sinning.
Are you scared about giving birth?
It's a school day for 15-year-old Jamaica. But before she gets to class, she plays with little Jamaico, her 9-month-old son.
Papasok na ako pag umiiyak siya. Lilibangin ko muna siya para makapasok ako.
Jamaica was 13 when she conceived. Pregnancy crept up on her, foretold in stretch marks and a late period.
Naiyak.
Why did you cry?
Kasi bata ko pa nagkakid ako.
Jamaica is part of a soaring number of Filipino adolescents, forced to end girlhood for motherhood. But she's one of the fortunate ones. Not only did she endure pregnancy and labor, but she's also finishing her education.
Jamaica's just on her way to school now, and you can tell that she really loves her son a lot, very much cares for him. But if she had the choice not to get pregnant so young, she would have chosen that.
Here in the Philippines, teen pregnancy has been described as a national emergency. Young families often belong to the poorest communities, of fragile homes and narrow alleyways. Now, the latest government data, collected between 2019 and 2023, shows a 38% spike in the number of 10 to 14-year-olds giving birth in the Philippines. None old enough to choose such a life-changing ordeal.
How difficult is it for an adolescent girl to give birth?
So we know that pregnancy below the age of 16 is 3 times riskier than in older women.
So these girls can die.
Yes, their reproductive tracts are not yet ready. Mentally, they're also not ready, so they're not seeking the care.
Women's health advocates have told CNN that the crisis is fueled by social media's growing role as a place to meet people and COVID-19 restrictions loosening. In an effort to curb adolescent pregnancies, sex education advocates introduced the Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Bill, which would standardize and enforce sex ed in school. But under pressure from the Catholic Church and conservatives, it was stalled. 3 years on, the Senate still hasn't passed the bill. Its latest version, introduced in July, grants major concessions to conservatives, guaranteeing parental control and religious freedom.
Let us pray.
Most people in the Philippines are Catholic, and the church has a lot of power in this country. They influence Filipino society, values, and also, to some extent, politics.
Even if you bombard them with sex education, still, they're going to engage in sex and then get pregnant later on.
We've spoken to some very young
Yeah.
moms who got pregnant at age 13, and
Yeah.
they all said that had they received sufficient sex education, they would not have chosen to get pregnant.
Well, that's a narrative that we don't want to discredit. But I'm telling you that even if you tell people not to sin, still they're going to sin.
So do you think these 13-year-old girls are sinning?
Yes, they are sinning. When they engage in sex without the benefit of marriage, it is a sin.
With everything we have to root out.
Conservatives against the bill have rallied around a new lobby group called Project Dalisay, or in English, Project Pure.
What exactly about this sexual education program are you against?
Filipinos cannot imagine the thought that the reproductive organs of their young children, as young as grade 1, will be discussed in a classroom setting. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
U.S. right-wing Christian groups have influenced the debate in the Philippines. Anti-abortion rights group Human Life International has campaigned against the bill, telling CNN in a statement it poses a moral threat to the Philippines. Family Watch International also told CNN that sex ed programs are inappropriate and unnecessary. Project Dalisay's convener, Maria Lord Sereno, says she's taken the lead from right-wing Christian groups in the U.S., but denies any financial ties.
We look for information, the technical information, the science from the U.S. is actually very, it's important to note the science that U.S. Think tanks produce, U.S. medical experts produce.
In 2022, the Philippines raised the age of consent from 12 to 16, meaning adolescent pregnancy may constitute statutory rape. Volunteer group Likan warns the rise in adolescent pregnancies is also driven by this power imbalance between some young girls and older teenage boys, and shifting attitudes towards them spending time together. It's one of the many things they teach young women about as they race to fill this gap in the Philippine sex education.
So in here we have a condom, and then we also have combined oral contraceptive pills, but it can also be used for the Plan B method or the emergency contraceptive pill method.
Likan is greeted warmly here. Friendly faces in a community where birth control is a luxury.
Thanks for condom.
So the volunteers who are handing out these condom kits told me that they target these basketball courts because they know that young men gather here and they don't have access to good contraceptives. So they hope that with these condom kits, they'll practice safer sex.
Para hindi na rin hindi makabuntis na maaga kasi alam naman natin na hindi pa natin kaya bumuo ng pamilya sa murang edad.
At 14, Clara thinks she's too young to be an expecting mother. She's asked to remain anonymous because she doesn't want her classmates to know she's pregnant.
Di ba pupuntang ospital?
Why not?
I have no money yet to go to hospital.
Do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl?
I don't know. I want boys.
Boy. Why do you want a boy?
Just like my kuya. Para hindi matulad sa hindi mabubuntis.
As the political battle rages on, thousands of girls like Clara are forced to live with the consequences of a life they would never have chosen. Hanako Montgomery, CNN, the Philippines.